The door to her room is slightly ajar. I don't knock. There's no need. She knows I'm coming. Inside, the smell of sterilizer is thick in the air. I notice Josephine sitting by the window, staring out into the night. She doesn't seem to notice me as I step into the room, nor does she react when I approach. How are you feeling today? She doesn't look at me. Not yet. Her voice is barely above a whisper. I've seen it again. I lean against the wall, watching her. She's not the same woman who walked these halls weeks ago. I've heard the rumors, the basement, the noises, the missing rats. But I don't believe in rumors. Her name on the file is familiar. But it's the story behind it that interests me. A promising medical student who fell from grace. Her brilliance in the field, overshadowed by the rumors of what she did in the basement. One thing I couldn't forget was that look in her eyes when she first arrived at the hospital, no longer as a student, but a patient. I need you to tell me exactly what happened, I say, from the beginning. Her eyes search mine for a moment, uncertain, before she finally speaks. It wasn't just an experiment. I was trying to understand the rats. I thought if I could get them to sleep better, it would help. Her words spill out, rushed, like she's been holding them back too long. I was alone that night, she says, staring past me, lost in the memory. The elevator groaned, rattling with each floor. I hated it, old and squeaky, but it came with a night shift. I was headed to the basement to check on the rats my team experimented on. Not glamorous, but necessary. The elevator jerked to a stop, and the doors creaked open. Instead of the usual B, for basement, the sign read BB. I frowned and pressed the button again, but when the doors opened, I realized it was the right floor. Must have glitched out, I muttered to myself, trying to shake off the unease creeping up my spine. I hesitated, then stepped out. The red glow of the basement lighting hitting me immediately. The red light was meant to mimic nighttime for the rats, to help regulate their sleeping pattern. But tonight, the red light seemed off. It was too dim, like it was bleeding into the walls. I glanced at the rat cages lining the walls. Usually, they'd be filled with the frenzied scrabble of rodents, their tiny paws clicking against the bars, eager for food or water. But tonight, the rats were still, not moving, not eating. I walked closer, and my stomach twisted. They were huddled together in fear, all of them. Their tiny beady eyes reflected the red glow, but they didn't seem to be looking at anything. They were staring at the same spot, the exit. The hair on the back of my neck prickled. I hadn't seen them act like this before. They were trembling in unison, as if they were expecting something. I moved towards the exit and pushed open the door. It was the morgue, a room where they stored the bodies of dead people. As I stepped into the room, I noticed a shadow in the corner, moving. At first, I thought it was just a lost patient, drawn to the basement by some delusion. But as my eyes adjusted into the dim light, I knew I was wrong. It was too tall, its limbs too long, and its movements too deliberate. The thing was hunched over a pile of rats, its hands tearing into them, its mouth covered in blood. It was devouring them, eating them raw, tearing through their soft bodies like it had done this before. And then it turned, sensing my presence. It smiled then. A sick, twisted grin that stretched far too wide for something human. Its teeth were sharp, stained with blood. That's when I realized. The rats. They were afraid of this thing, whatever it was. I backed away slowly back into the main room, but the creature didn't move. It stayed hunched, watching me, its hollow eyes burning into my soul. I was trapped there. There was no escape. The rats, now nervingly still, watched from the cages, their eyes wide and full of terror, mirroring mine. As much as I wished this was just some delusion or a nightmare, it became obvious to me that this was real. The thing never spoke, never moved beyond what was necessary to keep me there, but it didn't have to. The elevator I had come through was gone. No buttons, no cracks, just cold, unbroken concrete. It was always watching. Sometimes, it would stand just outside the reach of the flickering red light, its hollow eyes locked onto me. Every time I thought I could resist, the hunger would claw its way back, stronger, more insistent. My thoughts were no longer my own. It called to me, not with words, but with silence. A crushing presence that filled my mind with the unbearable weight of knowing what it wanted me to do. The rats trembled in their cages, their beady eyes darting between me and the creature. They understood. They had always understood. I wasn't leaving until I ate. They'd huddled in the corner, their tiny bodies twitching, waiting. But this time, they weren't just helpless observers. They were my only way out. My hands shook as I stared at them, their dark eyes capturing the flickering light above. The cold air pressed in around me. The hunger gnawed deeper. The thing watched me from the morgue. I closed my eyes, trying to block it out, but it was impossible. My mouth watered. My stomach churned painfully, and I couldn't stop my hands from reaching towards the rats. I couldn't stop the hunger from taking over, overwhelming me. The taste was wrong, but it filled the void. It made the gnawing stop, if only for a moment. I could feel the thing watching me, its eyes cold and unblinking, waiting for me to break further. I couldn't stop. My hand shook violently as I tore into another rat, its body soft and warm. A fleeting comfort in the depths of my madness, but it didn't matter. I wasn't myself anymore. The person I had been was gone, replaced by something darker, something hungry. When the custodians found me, blood smeared across my face, my hands shaking, the room littered with the aftermath, I finally realized what I had done. "What happened here?" one of them asked, his voice shaking with something I couldn't quite place. Fear, maybe. I didn't respond. How could I? What could I say? My colleagues kept asking questions, shouting at me, but all I could do was stare at the rats, at the blood, at the mess I'd made. "She's crazy," another worker muttered. "Look at her. She's eating rats for God's sake." They were accusing me of being crazy, but I wasn't crazy. They took me away, not gently, not with any understanding. They restrained me, their hands tied on my arms, their voices blending together in a blur. I was just another patient, another story they'd whisper about in the hallways. But I knew the truth. I wasn't crazy. I had been forced into this. It wasn't the rats or the hunger that made me lose myself. It was the monster. It. Her hands tremble slightly as she clutches the edge of the windowsill, as though holding on to something tangible. It was eating the rats, and it made me do it. And for the first time, I see fear in her eyes. A deep primal fear. "It's still here. I can feel it watching me." She shivers, her voice cracking as she speaks. I hear it before I see it. A faint, scratching noise. Small. Insignificant. The kind of sound that gets swallowed by the hum of the hospital. I almost ignore it. But then I see her face. She's gone stiff against the window. Her eyes are wide, locked onto something near the floor. Not just fear. Dread. I follow her gaze. A mouse. It shouldn't be here. The hospital is locked down, sealed tight. No gaps in the walls. No way in. And yet, here it is. She makes a choke sound, pressing herself further back against the glass, as if she could disappear into it if she tries hard enough. Her whole body shakes and I recognize it. Not just terror, but a memory. Before she can completely fall apart, I crouch down and scoop the thing into my hands. It barely struggles, just shivers in my palm, impossibly light. She swallows hard. Where did it come from? Her voice is controlled, but I hear what's hiding underneath. I exhale slowly. That's what I'm trying to figure out. My eyes scan the room. The smooth, unbroken cement walls, the sealed vents, the heavy door. There's no way a mouse should have gotten in. And yet, something twists in my stomach. If this got in, what else could? Thank you for watching. I was actually inspired by one of my friends who had this exact job. I know it's been a while since I uploaded, but I thought having a character to tie in the rest of my stories would be kind of fun. So goodbye for now, but not forever.